This episode is fueled by Mountain Ops, supplements to conquer more and crush your countdowns. Visit mountainops.com for all your supplemental needs. Fuel, recover, repeat. This episode is brought to you by Prevelo. Chosen by parents who know bikes. Beginner to expert, Prevelo makes a bike for every young rider. Confident on every surface, capable on every ride.
And I've taken a little look at your content. It looks like you guys are into CrossFit. Is that right?
Me, yeah.
He is.
Yeah, okay. Used to be really into that. I actually went and got my instructor certificate about a decade ago.
Oh, cool.
So,
That's
yeah.
awesome. I do little WODs at home and stuff. Our CrossFit
Yeah.
gym closed a couple years ago, and which is a huge
Okay.
bummer, but principles stayed. So
If I panned the camera down, you would see that the principal is not stated with me. Yeah.
that's okay.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Countdown 2 Podcast. I'm your co-host, Drew,
I'm Leighton.
and we're brothers.
Yes.
All right, today we're or it seems like we might be switching gears a little bit. No pun intended. We're talking bikes. We're talking about kids' bikes, which for our previous guests and not previous listeners, but our listeners might sound a little bit different. But what I really want to, or why we wanted this episode is because as a father, both of us are fathers of young kids. We're both into mountain biking. We're both into mental and physical wellness and being in shape. And this lends itself right to that because we're all old and having kids and all that stuff. So,
Yeah. So today joining us is Jacob Rheuban, founder of Prevelo Bikes, a company rethinking how kids learn to ride from the ground up, and in my opinion, what kind of kids we are raising. I wanted to have you on because you, as a parent, I'm constantly thinking about how to get my kids outside, moving and building real skills, and your approach really stood out. So welcome, Jacob.
yeah, welcome, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for saying that we do something more than just make bikes. We like to think that we inspire kids. Like, we don't just make bikes; we help kids get outdoors and be healthy and allow families to have those kinds of outdoor experiences. So, I appreciate that you recognize that. Thanks.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start at the beginning. Who are you and what led you to start Prevelo?
So I don't really belong in the bike industry. I went to law school and got out of law school and did some things that paid the bills, but that I didn't really love. But before law school, I had a little e-commerce startup back in the late 90s and early 2000s in the wild west of e-commerce, when people thought e-commerce companies were kind of shady. I was selling other people's products, and I just kind of always wanted to make my own product. I had this like lifelong dream, and I probably had like hundreds of ideas for them that I ran by my wife. And sometime around like 2015, 16, when I was teaching my oldest son how to ride a bike, I had this idea for a kid's bike company and ran it by my wife, and she gave me the thumbs up. So now it was the first idea she gave me the thumbs up on out of like hundreds.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I love it.
So now we own a kid's bike company.
That's awesome. And how long you been around for?
So we formed the company in 2016. It took us about a year of product development to figure out how to make bikes, and we started selling bikes April 2017. So we just celebrated call it our 9-year anniversary of actually selling bikes.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. It's baffling to me to think 2017 was 9 years ago, but gosh.
You said how long you were around for. I thought you meant his age.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was longer, right? Yeah. A lot longer, unfortunately. Yeah.
So, I mean, for the novice out there, or those that just pick up bikes from REI or whatever, what these bikes aren't just, engineered for just, a bike spec or whatever. They're engineered for little kids. Like, how do those differ from? I don't want to say Walmart, but I mean just kids' bikes in general.
Yeah. So there's a couple things that we do different, and it's evolved over the years. So the landscape back when we first got started is different than the landscape that it is today. So back then, what we saw were you basically had two categories of bikes. You had it's called the Walmart bikes, and what I will call like the bike shop bikes, like Trek Specialized, companies like that. And none of them were doing what I thought was a really good job engineering bikes for kids. For example, the Walmart bikes were just built really inexpensively. So they were built with really inexpensive components. They were heavy. They didn't work well. They fell apart. And the bike shop brands were doing a little bit of a better job with the construction. But the bikes were still not really well designed for kids. Like they had really long cranks. The cranks were too wide. So I feel like you see kids riding their bikes and their knees get pushed up against their chest. They were, in my opinion, too high off the ground. So we rethought a lot about a lot of that. We made our bikes like kind of like a core design philosophy was to make the bikes really low to the ground, have really short and narrow cranks so they match not only kids' leg length, but also their hip width. And then on top of that, so we did that. We had small diameter grips, short reach brake levers, and then on top of that, we just layered some kind of higher quality construction, lightweight aluminum frames, sealed cartridge bearings, things like that, so that they performed really well. So we made them so that they fit well and perform well.
That's awesome. It's funny the things you don't think about that other people that I guess other brands don't think about too. It's just like these aren't just human or adults, but like at a smaller size. Like there's different. Anyway, I just think it's awesome. Shut up. I'm so tired. I just think it's awesome. Like the thought that you put into it of what makes you different. It's just you're not another bike brand. It's you have a niche. You have something specific. So that's great.
Yeah. It was at the time the idea of making premium kids bikes we weren't the first ones to do it, but we were one of the first, and it was still a pretty exotic idea. But now the idea of like, hey, kids should have nice bikes is starting to become a little bit more mainstream. So that's pretty cool.
Would you say a target market for who's buying these bikes for the most part are probably parents of mountain bikers that want to get their kids into it, probably for introducing them to mountain biking that they may have a future in it? Does that sound about right?
Are you talking about like people that are grooming future professional athletes?
Yeah. Well, I mean, aren't we all? I mean, in one form or another.
So I think that those parents and children do exist, but I think that there's very few parents out there that are trying to prepare their children for a future, like making a living as a bike rider. Not zero, but very few. I think that we could probably break our demographic down into two big chunks of people. One are people that are into bikes and they recognize a good bike and they want their kids to have a good biking experience. It's really important to them.
Yeah.
And I don't know how old you guys are, but I grew up in the 80s. And in the 80s, like, BMX and mountain biking was still kind of new, right? And now we have a generation of moms and dads that grew up riding mountain bikes, riding BMX. They like grew up on bikes and they love them.
Yeah.
And they're willing to invest in their kids' riding experience in a way that parents in the 80s might have been a little more hesitant to do. And then another demographic are just parents that they're not really into riding bikes, but they care a lot about their kids.
Yeah.
And when it comes time for their kid to ride a bike, they go on Google and they start researching and they learn that, hey, like if I get my kid a nice bike, he's more likely to enjoy riding it, and or he or she, and they're willing to spend a little bit extra money to give their kids a good riding experience because they just want what's best for their kids.
Yeah. Safety too.
Yeah.
I definitely fell in that camp. Like, so my kid, he's 9 now, but he went from a Strider to a single speed. I don't even know what it was. I just picked it up at somewhere. But then I'm like, he needs a better bike than that. So I don't know if you see the Rocky Mountain right behind me here. That's I'm turning the wrong thing. That's his current sled. but
Okay.
it's too small. So I'm actually looking to what's next for him. But it from that one bike, the no name that I can't remember, to this one was night and day difference in his even confidence level. Just because this is engineered for kids, and I mean, big fatty tires, and he could roll over anything, and I mean, it was like amazing the difference.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed. I think that's a Yeti behind you. If I'm
Up
correct.
top, yeah.
Yeah. I also have a Yeti.
Oh, sweet, dude.
Yeah. Right.
Knew we liked you.
Yeah. So, and in the boat of people that are, willing to spend money on their bikes, right?
Yeah.
And I'd imagine that if you, I don't know how confident of a rider you are, but I'd imagine that if you went and, picked up like a $300 bike off the Walmart floor and took it on a trail, you probably wouldn't feel as comfortable as you do on your Yeti.
I die. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah, there's my Yeti. It's on the ground getting worked on.
Okay.
So that's actually kind of our thing. Just real quick, like we're training and working towards riding the Yeti Gathering in Colorado, and that's what we've been working on the last
July
year or so. Yeah, it's in July. So it's funny when we have guests on. They're like, "Hey, we ride Yetis too." I'm like, "Hey, this is awesome." So if you want to go, where did you get the name Prevelo from?
It actually wasn't our first name. Our first name was Dot Bikes, and I filed for the trademark. And it was like when I was starting the business, I didn't know a whole lot about what I was doing. And like less than a month before production, there was a trademark issue that came up. And I was going to have to litigate it if I wanted to get the trademark. So I abandoned that mark, and we had to think of a name really quick. And we thought of, when I say we, it's my wife and I, we thought of Prevelo. Pre is like before, and Velo is like, they use, Velo is like used, it's kind of like synonymous with bike.
I was right.
He was just saying that.
Nailed
too.
it.
It's so funny. Good
I was
job,
like,
Drew.
Velo's bike. Oh, pre.
Yeah.
Pre's before. Oh, kid's bike. Okay.
That's a good name.
Yeah. So the problem is that like a lot of people, they don't get the reference, and I realize in hindsight we picked a name where it's not obvious how you pronounce it.
Right.
Some people pronounce it Prevelo. We never correct them because it's my fault that I picked a name that it's not obvious how you pronounce it.
Well, hey, now everyone will know because it's been stated.
Everyone.
Yes.
It's out
Yeah.
now.
It's Prevelo. Yeah.
Prevelo. Okay, cool.
I love it.
My brain, like with words, will get weird sometimes. So I was actually saying Prevelo sometimes and Prevelo. I don't know. It's just we always joke, it's just words. But
I wanted to. I mean, kind of where the direction I'd love to go is obviously, we love companies, we love highlighting companies, but we want to get into the heart of things, and especially with where kids are today. And I think that you could speak to some of that with, and I might be jumping quite a bit here in the outline, but especially with like, we're all competing as parents, or even you as a kids bike company. We're all competing with the almighty tablet and electronics and the TV and all those things, which is nothing new necessarily because TV's been around forever. Yet everything's right in their hands, right there.
instant gratification.
Exactly, and so it feels like we're raising kids in a different world, very different world now with the screens and tablets and fighting for their attention and such. What role does something like a bike play in raising healthier kids? I mean, this is kind of a well-done statement, yet I just feel like there is such an opportunity for parents to do something like this, where it's like, hey, let's get them on bikes, let's get them on good bikes to where they're more interested and stoked, and possibly be healthier in the process.
Is that my cue to talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
There was a question in there somewhere. Yeah.
So
First of all, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a child psychologist. I'm a dad and a kid's bike maker, right? But in those roles, I interact with a lot of parents, both the parents of my kids' friends and our customers, our parents. And what I see are parents that are largely like almost in panic mode that kids are spending so much time on screens.
Yeah.
And I think that parents are at the point where they're willing to do really anything to get their kids off screens, and that's not just bikes,
Yeah,
right?
right.
It could be, karate. It could be going to CrossFit Kids. That's a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't just have to be something that's fitness related. It can be art, theater, right? Anything, sailing, right? Anything that's not on a screen.
Yeah.
And bikes for sure fit into that category. Bikes are, I think, a great option because they're fun for kids. They teach confidence. It's something that families can do together, right? You're not watching from the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
The I guess my answer to the question is I'm not a professional psychologist or doctor, but I think that parents largely believe that getting kids off screens and really doing anything that's not on screens is a good thing.
Sure.
Yeah, I love the access with bikes because it's not, karate. There's, oh, that's a class for at this time on this day. Sailing, other things, you have to go somewhere to do it. Bikes, it's just like, let's just go in the backyard. Let's ride down the street. I can entice them about half a mile down the road from my house is frozen yogurt. And it's like, let's go ride our bikes down to there. So it's just real quick, easy access versus the classes and stuff. So,
yeah, I mean, I think bikes have like a lot of, when you look at all the things that kids can do, they have some kind of unique attributes to the activity that makes them particularly good for kids. So one is, as you pointed out, you can do it right out of your house, right? You can also kind of like do something on a bike. You can do something of utility, like you mentioned, going to the
frozen yogurt,
the ice cream store.
Yeah.
The frozen yogurt store, right? My son, he's 14 now, right? So he's a little bit older. But I think I mentioned in the email that it's my wife's birthday, and he's riding his bike to the store to pick flowers up for my wife for her birthday, right?
That's awesome.
So he's actually getting something done. They teach kind of confidence and self-reliance. You're out on the trail by yourselves. You have to know what to do if you pop a tire. You have to know how to find your way around and find your way home. You have to be willing to challenge yourself in scary situations, like find like a new technical trail that maybe feels a little uncomfortable and work your way up to it. Or on the street, like for a lot of kids, crossing a busy street is something, it actually is legitimately dangerous nowadays, and they have to learn how to do it safely.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, and a roundabout way too. I've used mountain bike with my kid and to teach him about pain and overcoming pain. And what I mean by that is, it sounds funny, but what I mean by that is, we were at a trailhead in the parking lot, and after we rode a bit, we're kind of riding around the parking lot, and I think he was 5 at the time, and we were riding around, and he was looking at me, and he totally hit this patch of I don't know, like ferns or something like that on the side of the parking lot. Totally Supermaned it, came grinding to a halt and stuff like that. And I mean, to his credit, he jumped up and he's like, "Ow!" But it was a great conversation about like, hey, this will heal. And then anytime he gets hurt, we always reference back to that. Such a random comment, I'm sure, but it's kind of funny how it's just like, oh, here's a very when you're super young and trying to learn life and learn that there are injuries and learn that our bodies do recover, here's a great way to do it. And bikes taught him that. So thank you, bikes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Expands their world too, because like kids can't drive, like they get tired fast with walking, and so it opens up. It's actually kind of cool when you think about how much more bikes can be, and bikes that can grow with you too. Like I started BMX when I was a kid, and then it transitioned to mountain biking as an adult, and so it's not just a kid's thing. It's something that adults can do with your kid. You're not just watching them while they ride. You can ride with them and do it all together. It's super cool.
Yeah, being out and about. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. It's when my kids were really young, they played soccer, right? And we did our season and sit on the sidelines watching them play. And I think for a lot of families, they're really into that, but it wasn't right for our family. we wanted to do something where we can do it with our kids. And riding bikes, you all get to do it together.
Love it.
And we have a lot of listeners that are very outdoorsy, and so I'm sure they can relate with that with their kids because they're also, our age, that they have little ones in the house and stuff like that. So, the more ability to get outdoors together, I think, is key because there's so many things like. For the longest time, I'd go biking by myself just because my son wasn't old enough. My wife, I tried to get her into biking. She's like, no, this is not for me. And so I'd go alone. But now he's starting to get to the age where, hey, we can go together. And we have a great time in the outdoors together, which goes a long way, I think, as in the bond and relationship side as well. So, and you're not competing with a team aspect or anything like that. So.
Well, and bikes can be expensive, so it's really cool to like, hey, let's just spend hours on a Saturday riding bikes for free. 'Cause my whole my fiance ride mountain bikes, and our kids ride bikes, and so yeah, just it's a fairly inexpensive day after the price tag of a bike, but.
That one.
Yetis. I mean, I did it to myself. I chose a Yeti, so.
I think a lot of people like. It's probably a controversial opinion to say that biking is inexpensive, right? But you're right that it doesn't have the same kind of like recurring expense that if you have your kids in karate lessons, you have to pay a monthly membership fee or something like that.
I've heard that if you get your kids into mountain biking, they'll never have money to buy drugs. That's what I've heard. So
Yes, I've also seen that.
It makes sense.
Drew, real quick, wanted to add.
Please do.
Well, I got my nephew into mountain biking when he was 11, and he's 15 now, and he's now a certified bike mechanic. He works in the local bike shop. He's looking at, in the next couple of years, opening his own bike shop. He's also expanding over to dirt bikes and becoming a certified mechanic for that too. It's just super cool. Also, just the job side that can expand too and open all that. He has like 15 bikes. I created a monster. He's that he bought all of himself and he's 15. It's awesome. He's working on my bike right now, actually.
Maybe also that's like a good kind of segue into another benefit to bikes, and that is they're relatively easy machines to learn how to work on.
Yeah.
And I think that there are a lot of kids that are growing up nowadays, and they just don't develop those mechanical skills, the ability to look at why something's not working and figure it out.
Yeah.
And bikes are a great way to start learning about mechanics because they're simple. Everything's exposed. If you make a mistake, it's usually not that expensive. Right, so
yeah, you can learn. Man, bikes are awesome.
That makes perfect sense. Kind of changing a bit to what we're seeing more and more with the electric bikes. And I'm not talking about just e-bikes in general. I'm talking about the, throttle dirt bike gangs you see now. I don't know. I live in Washington State, and there's like, if there's any kids on a like motorized motorcycle looking dirt bike, that's electric, they're all in black full face helmet, black everything, and there's like 8 of them, and they're just ripping through town. And do you see that down in Southern California?
yes.
Okay. So it's not just me. It's not just me.
No.
Okay, so it's a thing. And I just really like, as a mountain biker, and I'm old, it's like, is this, I'm fine with kids on electric bikes and all that, but it's like, is this stunning their growth? Because I go around our neighborhood and there's kids on electric striders. They're 3 years old, just not even running alongside it. They're just, they're not throttling it, but they're, pushing a button and going. And I'm sitting there going like, man, that's got to affect like the muscle growth and the muscle gain and maybe even the balance, because you're relying on electric as opposed to, your own muscles. You share that at all, or?
Well, so first of all, we could spend a lot of time talking about e-motos.
E-motos, there we go. Okay.
There's a lot of controversial opinions about it. I have my own opinions. In terms of muscular development, riding an e-moto or a pedal assist bike, which are two different things, both of them they don't require like the same cardiovascular work that it takes to ride a bicycle, right? Is robbing kids of that cardiovascular exercise, is that bad? I think that there's like a case to be made that like cardio is good for all of us, for the three of us on the call and our children and really all humans. And so when you have a motor doing the work for you, then you're not getting that experience. But I think we should acknowledge that not everyone in the world has a tolerance for cardiovascular work, right? And that doesn't mean that it's like it's still good for them to get outdoors and still not be on screens. Right. So I can see it both ways. I would never knock anyone for riding an e-bike. And I probably would not knock anyone for wanting an e-bike for their kids if that's kind of like what it takes to get their kid outside. Now the e-moto thing has like, you kind of brought up like these kids riding down the street. We can talk about that if you want. I don't know if like you wanted to go there, right? You kind of made it about like physical fitness, but if you want to talk about that, we can talk about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, just the physical fitness side of that's what I was kind of touching on, is because of just kind of bypassing that. I mean, kids grew up, on gas-powered motorcycles all the time. So it's not too far of a cry from that, but I don't know.
And to be transparent, both of my kids ride dirt bikes. They don't ride e-motos. They ride like gas-powered dirt bikes, and we go to a motocross track and they ride them there, right? I have done it, and it's not easy, right? It has its own set of challenges, its own skill that it requires, and its own kind of fitness. But it's different than bikes.
I grew up riding dirt bikes too, and I was thinking about that because Drew and I were talking about the difference between e-bikes, motobike, battery powered motos. And it was just like, but what about people that ride dirt bikes? Like, no one's freaking out about that, like that's still a good thing. And yeah, there's a difference, but because like our son, he's 7, and he rides a regular bike, and he has a Stasics. And I know, I'm so sorry. It was not my call, but anyways, we were deeply regretted. But anyways, no, it's taught him a lot of other things like throttle control, power, and also just going up in the mountains and mountain biking. It's like, oh, okay, he can ride with us a little bit more than on a regular bike. Like, it's just interesting how like even at Sea Otter, Haro came out with a kid's e-bike, like a pedal assist bike, and I think it's one of the first ones or something. And I was like, all right, that's interesting. And I've heard people like, oh, we don't have to tow the kids anymore. I'm like, this is shifting. There's an interesting shift in that approach. What?
Oh, the people up here that tow their kids, like, they shouldn't be complaining. They're on e-bikes themselves, so it's not like they're really struggling.
But it's an interesting shift that I didn't really realize was happening in the world on the approach on bikes. Is just like it's making it more efficient, more laps rather than the experience itself. Maybe I don't know,
and it's probably not a big deal that I'm making it. It's just one of those things where it's like I always gauge, like I've always heard, and I felt it too, like if you want to be a better trail rider, get on a hardtail. And you'll pick your lines better. You'll pick, all that stuff like that. And I've felt that myself. And so I'm always like kind of gauging, like, should you start with the basic principles, the pedal bike first, and then graduate into e-bike or e-moto or something like that down the road? And because I agree with you too. It's like, does the e-bike, the kid e-bike, kid moto, whatever, get more kids out with their family, where they can keep up with their family? Okay, then that makes sense too. You're building, that family dynamics in the woods, outside of screens, yada yada. So I don't know. It's just kind of this weird place,
Shift.
I guess. Yeah.
No, I think it's a fair point. There's an argument that starting on a more simple machine, a non-powered machine, a hardtail, or even fully rigid, right, like a BMX bike, is going to turn you into a more skilled cyclist. But that's not the goal for everyone.
Sure.
Not everyone wants to be a highly skilled cyclist. Some people just want to be outdoors having fun.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Do you feel with your brand, with your target market, are you feeling, are you more focused on those that want this style of bike as opposed to, hey, let's throw a wide net and try to get as many people as possible? Like, what's your take on, because those that want, companies that want to get as many people as possible are going to diversify or have so many different options to be able to do that. What's your brand focus?
Well, first of all, we don't make an e-bike.
Right.
But I'm not going to say that we will never make an e-bike. Because I think that e-bikes for kids, I think that there's going to be a lot of conversations about what the right kind of bike for kids to have is and how they should be used. But I think that it's likely that it's eventually going to happen. They have become too popular for adults to not eventually become popular for kids.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that a lot has to happen between now and then to figure out like how it happens and how it happens safely. Okay. So at the moment we don't make an e-bike, but we do make 3 different lines of kids bikes. So we cover like a pretty broad range of kids cycling. We make an Alpha series, which is like hybrid everyday bikes. It's the bikes kids can ride to school on light trails. We make the Zulu series, which are mountain bikes. The Bravo series, which are dirt jump bikes, because dirt jump parks are popping up all over the place. They're kind of like, the new version of skate parks.
Yeah,
almost,
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. And we're coming out with the Foxtrot, which is our full suspension series. So if you look at that, we've kind of got like all kinds of kids riding covered. If I was going to say that like we're in like a box, that box is we don't make anything that is we don't make anything cheap.
Sure.
It's all kind of premium, well-built, sealed cartridge bearings, and that comes at a price. And we don't make anything motorized yet.
Yeah.
No, Leighton showed me the picture of your full suspension bike. When is that supposed to drop, or do you have a date yet?
Yeah, we have the prototype. It was being tested by a 6-year-old downhill racer named Elliot Honeycutt, and he let us borrow it back so we could have it on display at Sea Otter, and now he's testing it again, and he's giving us feedback on it weekly.
That's so cool.
We're going through another round of prototyping with that bike, but our goal is to have that bike out sometime between holiday 2026 and spring 2027.
Okay, cool. That thing is sweet. I saw it at Seattle. I was like, dude, full suspension. This thing's sick. And it's funny. I follow Honeycutt on Instagram, and I just saw he got it back, and he's like, they gave it me back and more testing, and it does a backflip or something like that on it. So, man, he is really putting the miles in on that thing. So that's very exciting. When you were talking about high quality, so my fiance was actually the one that found you guys first when researching bikes for our 4-year-old, because she's getting a little too big for her strider, and now what's next? And we were looking and we're like, this is great. And then we were in Truckee mountain biking, and then we stopped at the backcountry bike shop, and they had some on display. Saw them for the first time. We're like, oh, the quality, and these are sweet. And then we were asking the owner, the shop guy, about it, and he's like, Prevelo is the best kids bikes. Like, he's like, all these other brands, they focus on like, okay, we have these extra parts, what are we going to make? Let's make a kids bike. He's like, they put in the quality, the time, and he had so much passion behind it, you guys. So we were like, all right, we're sold. So whatever. Yeah, we're going to pull the trigger eventually. So yeah.
Well, thank you to your fiance for finding us, and the owner of the backcountry for saying good things about us. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. You guys do a great job. And when we were talking about the e-bike and regular bike argument, argument. Anyways,
Conversation.
there was one day, the conversation, there was one day where our son's Stay6, the battery died, and our little 4-year-old went by on her Strider. She's like, well, I guess that means my bike's better because it can keep going past a battery. And she wasn't even trying to be mean. She was just being very factual. And I was like, yep, that's a good argument.
All I need is a scoop of ice cream, good for another hour, right?
Yeah, right? Exactly. So...
So, are you full time in this business, or is this what do you dabble?
Yes. No, I'm full time. This is not a side gig.
Okay.
I've been doing it full time since 2017. We kind of jumped in with both feet. I don't know if that was a wise decision at the time, but it worked out for us. So yes, it's full time.
Did you guys experience a boom at all during 2020 when everybody was gobbling up bikes, or did you take a hit?
It was a mixed bag, right? So yeah, demand went through the roof.
Yeah.
Right. We had one container of bikes that normally would have been, at the time we were a pretty small company, that would have lasted us, I don't know, a month or two. And it sold out in less than 10 minutes.
Wow! Holy cow!
And which is actually kind of stressful when you sell that
Sure.
quickly, because we had a glitch on our website and I couldn't fix it quickly, and we had angry customers. But whatever, right? So the one side is that demand was really strong, but then what happened is we sold out of bikes, and we found ourselves competing with big brands on the supply side, on when it comes to competing for parents, for customers, we can hold our own because we believe that we make a good product, and we have something that parents like. But when it comes to competing on the demand side, for factory capacity, we could not hold our own against the big guys.
Yeah,
and we struggled for probably about 2 years to get supply. So it was it ended up being kind of okay, right?
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Did you have some of the problems with the fallout of overproduction that some people had, and then no one was buying bikes? And did you run into that like some of the other companies?
So, I mean, that was kind of if you follow the bike industry, that's been a well-known problem in the bike industry since COVID, that all the companies made too much bikes and then had too much inventory. We kind of had two advantages. One is we're small, so our problems are smaller, and also people that work with me know I kind of have a reputation for being conservative when it comes to inventory. We've always run things kind of lean here, and it's partially by necessity. My wife and I own 100% of the company, and we didn't want to take on investors, so we had to work with what we had, and that means we can't overextend ourselves on inventory. So we had our own little version of being over inventoried, but our version of it was a 6-month inventory backlog. Compare that to some other brands that are still dealing with some inventory that they piled up during COVID. So yes, we had a very small version of it.
Cool. I kind of had a feeling with your guys' size, because I was I feel like you guys are a family-owned business, smaller, which is great. I mean, that's wonderful in the world of corporate, the world of people buying out bike brands, and it's this is family. This is what it's about. And so supporting that is wonderful. I'm even more excited to get the kids' Prevelos. So
no, every time a bike is sold, there's a little team of people in Southern California that get excited. Right?
Love it.
Are you starting at all to see any of your bikes on the used market? Meaning that kids obviously are growing, and so they buy these bikes and then they move on to the next one or whatnot. Are you starting to see some used inventory out there at all, which I think is a good thing?
Yeah, for sure. There's even a Facebook group for buying and selling Prevelo bikes.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And the kids bike resale market is it's like its own thing because kids outgrow their bikes quickly. So parents want to sell them after their kids outgrow them so they can get the next size up. And there's a lot of parents that like normally our bikes would be out of their budget, so they look for a used one and they can now find them. So yes, there is like relative to the size of our company, a pretty robust market for used Prevelos.
Nice. No, I think that's a great problem to have in the sense that, it's not like they're on the used market because people don't like them. They're on the used market just because the kids outgrow them.
Yeah.
And that opens the door to other kids obviously getting it. I've always been curious about kids' bikes in general because of that, revolving door, because as they grow and stuff like that, what do they do with their old bikes? So it's great that you guys have like there's a Facebook group that kind of cycles through them. No pun intended, but
Yeah. So there's that. We also do we also do like we call it the trade up club. It's a
okay.
thing where people can join, and then when their kid outgrows the bike, they can buy the next size up from us and send the old bike back to us for credit. If I'm to be completely candid, if parents are looking to like maximize their own financial benefit, they're better off selling it locally on the used market. But this works for parents that don't want to deal with that chore.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's really cool. Yeah. I was gonna say that I feel like Prevelos they hold their value strong. It's not like, oh, I have to sell it for half now, and it's just like it's which is great. I mean, like you said, like it's just it's unavoidable. Like you have to upgrade your kids' bikes, and so that makes it a little bit easier to do so for parents. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Good. I mean, again, we just wanted to get to know you. We love the bike industry. We're very passionate about it, and we're passionate about our kids. Just because that's the stage we're in, and thankfully they love to ride. And when they can keep up with us, or eventually they'll destroy us, but if they keep up with us and on quality machines, that's just ideal for us as well. So.
No, I was gonna say it's awesome, right? Riding bikes with your kids. It's having kids is when like actual kids like at kids' age is kind of like a limited time opportunity in life.
100%.
Right? It's you only get so many years, and at least for me as a dad, like I want to get as much as I can out of those years. And so that's as many bike rides as much time spending with them as a kid where they still want to be around me as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're not a mountain bike podcast. We're more of a mental health podcast around biking. And so with having you guys on, or you on, it was like, oh, this makes sense. Okay. Because we're talking about the health of our families, how we can extend our good choices in bikes, in choosing a healthy lifestyle, and expand that down to our kids. And it's like, get a Prevelo, let's ride bikes, Right.
And a Prevelo is a good choice, but it doesn't have to be. But I also think that when you ride bikes with your kids, to the extent that you believe that riding bikes is good for mental health, right? When you take bike ride for a kid, when you take your kid for a bike ride, you're getting that mental health benefit for two people.
Yeah.
Right. So you kind of you have a little bit of a compounding effect there.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good
just the adventure too. I mean, because you're talking about being on the trail in the woods together, and that piece, but also the adventure of it's always fun to go. It's a little bit of road trip to get to certain trails and stuff like that. And then if you spend all day doing it, and then you're having lunch together out there and all the above. I mean, there's a trailhead that we have around here where all the families, they'll take their kids and stuff like that. And then, but back at the parking lot is base camp, to where they've got their awnings up and their, barbecues going, all stuff like that. And it's just a blast. And it's an all day outing, which I think is just awesome for kids. So
back to basics.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you get a whole adventure out of it. There's also there's this one kind of like perfect moment. So when you start riding bikes with your kid, usually you're a lot better at them than they are. And I think for a lot of dads, myself included, eventually your kids get better than you. At that point now with my 14-year-old, he's way better than I've ever been. And I'll just never catch up with him.
Yeah.
But there was a moment where we were like at the same skill level.
Nice.
Right.
That's cool.
And that was like a really cool moment because we could approach like something technical, something, and conquer it together. And
Yeah.
both have that feeling where like we had done something that we had both never done before. And that's also like a really cool part of parenting that you get to experience on a bike.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
that's
awesome.
exciting. I'm stoked now. Woo!
And
Got a couple more years, hopefully.
Well, and I'm assuming that at that age, like you said, your kid's 14 now and he's better. So what are you talking about, like age 12 or something like that, where you guys had the same skill level about?
Yeah, it was probably around 11 or 12.
11 or 12.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And which is
Yeah.
usually, in my opinion, seeing friends around me, the age when the kids are like, I don't want anything to do with my parents. You know, they're out doing other things or whatnot. So that's awesome that you guys had that bond together over bikes.
You get to build their confidence too. I think we touched on this, but like, because I was just thinking about that experience with my nephew. I mean, he's 15, he's racing, he's doing crazy stuff, way past what I got. But yeah, that time frame where we can do the same stuff. But before that, it was just like building his confidence. Like, oh, dude, you got this. Like, you can do that, you know, and showing them how to do it, and just taking a moment out in nature. It's just you two, or if you bring the whole family, and just like figuring it out together, and then they learn to trust you more on coming to you for things. I think it correlates, but bikes are the answer. Save everything.
Yes. A lot of good can come from riding bikes.
Yes, absolutely. And it's keeping it simple.
For everybody in the family if they're into it. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
Well, hey, Leighton, you have anything else?
I think I'm good, man.
Okay,
This is a good episode.
Jacob, you have anything, or you want to?
I don't know. You guys have done a great job. You've done a great job kind of like leading the conversation, feeding me little questions to answer. So I love what you guys are doing. So
yeah,
thanks, man. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you and your time and your insight into this. We love guys like you who just like put themselves out there, see a need, have a desire, have a mission, and not not just let it be. You go out and do something about it. So we all benefit from that. So thank you for your heart in this and serving, I don't know, just a community of bikers for sure. And I don't know, maybe we'll see you on the trails someday.
Or we'll come down. Now, anytime we're down on the... Oh, by the way, Drew, they're in Ventura County. So
Yeah. No,
Yeah, okay.
Don't worry, I stalked them. It's cool.
all right. You can visit us anytime. We have a good taco shop nearby.
Sweet.
And thanks for saying all those things. This is a labor of love. My wife and I got into this business because we love what we do. I'm grateful that I get to do this for a living, and I'm also really grateful you guys invited me to be on the podcast. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks for thinking I have something to say that's worth listening to.
Absolutely, man.
Absolutely, man. It's all about families. So
Yes, it is.
and I'll be in Ventura in August. I'll come look you guys up.
Yeah, come pay us a visit.
Sweet.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Awesome, Jay. We'll have a wonderful birthday night.
Yes,
and,
happy birthday
enjoy
to the
fam,
wife.
So, yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank
man.
you.
Okay.
Cheers.
Bye.